Finally, a film comes out in the UK earlier than it does in the US, and I wait 3 days to film my review of it because at the time my voice sounded like a demented frog. And still does. Forgive me, I'm like recovering from the flu. But while I was suffering from that flu, I saw 999. 999 is about a bunch of corrupt cops trying to pull off heist jobs. Meanwhile, there's the new cop in town who is Casey Affleck, who is kind of the only morally good character in this movie, and he's kind of caught up in the middle of all these dangerous people. And Casey Affleck is one of the many amazingly talented people in this film. This film is just packed with brilliant people. And when I first saw the trailer, I was worried because I just thought, okay, too many brilliant people in a movie. Often that spells disaster because often they're trying to compensate for something and it's usually not a good plot. And the way I see 999 is that it has a handful of good and a handful of bad. There were things I really liked about this film, and then there were things that just kind of didn't really amount to much. So let's start with the positives. The people in this film are great. I mean, Casey Affleck is one of my favourite actors ever, and he's just so underrated and he hasn't really got many opportunities to shine. Chiwetel Ejiofor, Aaron Paul, Kate Winslet is in this film as like the typical Russian cliche. I said I was going to talk about the good. Norman Reedus is in this film. Friggin' Daryl Dixon is in this movie. That's the level it's at. And when you have a cast of really talented people, they're gonna get good performances. That's just kind of how it works most of the time. There are some scenes in this film that were really, really great. The opening sequence was really fantastic. The action, it kind of set you up thinking there was going to be a lot more of it, and then there kind of wasn't. But it was a really nice place to, not nice, it was pretty morally awful, but it was a great place to start the film. Really set the tone. It kind of really set the high stakes these characters were in and really showed how corrupt they were. And it was great seeing them do all these horrible things, horrible crimes like stealing, murdering, and then having them all just kind of walk into their day jobs in the police station. It was great. There's another scene in this film where they're kind of staking out a house and the camera follows them all the way through all the different floors in this house, every single room. It just doesn't cut away, and I have a thing for continuous shots and when it kind of puts you in the place with them. Like if they'd made the decision to have the camera keep cutting to different angles and shots of all these different hidey holes in the rooms and all the different levels in the house, then it kind of would have taken me away from it a bit. But when it follows them all the way through, you really feel like you're there with them. It gives you that really great sense of atmosphere that it's just, I love so much. And this film did throw me a couple of curveballs. There were a couple of things that I kind of thought it was just going to be a typical cop heist movie, and for a large part it was, but then there were a couple things that really kind of threw me off and made it a lot more unique than I expected it to be. But then the bad, the issue that you have when you have so many amazing people in one movie is that no one character really stands out because they just don't have enough time. The characters just don't have enough time by themselves in a standalone film with no kind of prior establishment. They just don't have the time to hit you as they should. And I felt like there was no real attempt to really distinguish many of these characters as individuals. A lot of them just sort of blended into one and were just kind of there. They were either just there to be part of the group or they were a cliche. Like Kate Winslet and her Russian accent. She just was a Russian cliche mobster. That's all she was. That's literally all Kate Winslet was in this film. And then some of the plot just seemed really kind of muddled. I lost track of all the things that were going on because they were trying to do so many different plot points at once and none of them really seemed to coincide. They just seemed kind of random. And the bits that I really liked were when they were on the streets and they were dealing with the gangs, but honestly there either wasn't enough of it, so I just noticed that it was missing, or they just kind of threw it in as a separate plot line just to have something else to keep the movie going, because it didn't really seem to amount to much in the whole scheme of the film. I feel like they tried to set up Chiwetel Ejiofor's character as like this really troubled, inner turmoil, inner demoned man, but then there wasn't enough of it so that whenever he switched or whenever like he kind of snapped when it came to his family or his job or whatever, they just seemed like random script changes rather than character traits. Like I got that his character was troubled, but not in an emotional way. I didn't get the full level of what I was supposed to feel for this character because there just wasn't time for him. But overall I enjoyed this film. This film is by no means a chore to sit through. I had fun watching it. Some of the scenes, as I said, are really, really great. If you can ignore the fact that none of the characters are really anything new and that it's a plot that you've seen before with a couple new things thrown in, then you're gonna like this film. I would overall give it a positive rating, but not by much. I think I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. And I know I gave Deadpool a 7.5, but I don't know. I did enjoy it despite its flaws. Maybe a 6.5. Okay, we'll go 6.5. I think that's a fair compromise for all its cliches and modelledness. I was meant to see so many films last week and I got sick. Oh, I saw this one. That's what matters. Thank you for watching my review. I hope you enjoyed it. You can like, comment, subscribe if you'd like. I'm going to be trying to get to as many films as I can throughout the year, really. Thank you.